Well, it looks like it's time to start working on the layout again. Not much has changed since the last video, other than the fact that it looks a lot more like a great big mess. But I have done some things that are quite constructive. I've made these risers, which are good, and I've determined what the track is going to lay on, which is this foam. The rails will support the locomotives, and the risers are in the key stress points, which is the rail joiners. A lot of people were wondering if this layout is going to be connected to the other layout. Yes, it is. I kind of just assumed that was, to go without saying, but you know what, I didn't make it clear, so my bad, but this is going to be connected to the other layout, giving me 3 layouts all connected. And with the new controller, hopefully we'll have a capacity of, I think, six some trains at once, which is pretty good. Anyways, let's get working on the rising sections. Anyways, we're going to be attaching this all together. I've pre-cut this piece to fit this, so we'll just need to make some slight adjustments with the risers to get this where we want. I won't be gluing the track down likely in this episode, but I will be gluing the risers to the foam so that we do have genuine ramps. We just need to find kind of the sweet spot of where the weak spots of the track are, pretty much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide them out. This is a high temp glue gun. I honestly recommend high temp glue guns because the hotter the glue is, the more it will fuse to whatever you're attaching it to. I'm not going to be gluing the risers down to the layout just yet because I'm not entirely sure if this is exactly the angle that the track is going to be going, because keep in mind, when I build the curves, it may turn out that I need to make some adjustments. So I'm not gluing the track to the risers, and I'm not gluing the risers to the table. Should be okay. I just need to wait for the glue to fuse. That's the nice thing about working with high temp hot glue as well, which is that you have a bit of time to get everything right exactly where you want it. With low temp hot glue, you don't have as much time to work with, so that's another advantage of high temp glue guns. Now the thing about the final riser is that it actually needs to be offset a little bit, so I'm going to put the glue to one side. That way we can connect another piece of foam to this piece and make the whole thing somewhat seamless. So since the glue is just sticking out there a bit, I'm going to try connecting the second piece of foam right there, just to hold it in place while we put this whole thing together. And just in between the risers, I'm just going to put a tiny bit of hot glue, and this will just make the difference between them even, and it will also prevent them from coming apart in the future. So there we go. One section built. So here we have the piece which is going to go under the switch, and you're going to be like, well, you clearly did this all wrong, it doesn't meet there. So what I was saying earlier about the everything not necessarily fitting together right away, since none of this is glued down, we can slide it and get it to an angle which is preferable. There we go. Put it in the middle. Just take our second piece. We'll just put a little line of hot glue there. We want the track to be even, and if you put too little in one spot and too much in another, you'll make all this uneven and none of it will work right. So I'm going to slide this out. So now here's another reason why I couldn't use regular risers. It's because there is track under here, and as far as I know, there's no tunnel pieces you can buy that support 2 levels. There may be, I just don't know where to get them, and again, cost is a consideration in the decision making for this layout. Now, I'm going to fuse these 2 pieces of foam together without the riser. That way we don't prevent any future connections. And that's one thing. If you make a mistake while you're building your layout, don't be afraid to go back and correct it, because If you don't, it might make more complications in the future. So that's just something I've learned. I know it sucks because you have to undo your work, but it's usually worth it in the long run. Now I just want to do a test to make sure that it's all working okay. I find it's always a good idea just to do little tests just to make sure everything's good, because it's a lot easier to undo a mistake or fix a problem when the layout's in a very, very unformed stage. But once it's formed, you've got a lot more work to undo. And you know, I usually just pick an engine that's not too strong, because if you pick a weaker engine, then if it can handle it, then a strong engine likely can handle it better. And you know, don't pick an overly weak engine, just pick kind of like a mid-range one. Also, good idea, you can just buy these cheap little controllers. You may already have them from a starter set. This is the one I bought at Larkspur for $2. And yeah, they're great. You could also use a 9-volt battery. It's just the nice thing is these won't run out of power, and you can adjust the current. So as you can see, that's 9 volts would not be enough to get this locomotive to the grade, so we're going to give it full power. So the track is dirty, but you can see the locomotive is handling the grade. We're just going to bring it back down and see if we can get it to climb the whole grade. And as you can see, the locomotive climbed the whole grade, so we know that this section of track should be good, and it will only get improved once we get everything adjusted correctly. So you can just line it up like that, and do that. Put a bit of glue on our riser. Take a big measurement. I'm going to glue it down on the edge because that will give us maximum clearance on the beams, basically, because it pushes them out as far as they go. And it will also be good because in the track plan it calls for a track which is going to go right through here, so the more clearance we can give that, the less tightly we'll have to build the curves. This engine can clear it than any other engine can, so I may actually glue this riser down. The locomotive clears it with no problems. I'll put a nice line. Get that right where we want it. And put a bit on the table just to get it there. Now, put a piece of track on, just make sure it all fits. That's about where I want it. I may have to cut this piece back just a little bit. So now I'm going to stop building this section because we're going to have another piece of track that's coming around here that's going to be the reversing loop, and there's going to have to be some odd bits like this because there wasn't enough room to put 2 beams. So since I don't know where any of that goes, we're just going to stop here, but we're not finished for the day because there's one other section that needs to be completed with the foam and risers. Now this section right near here needs to be added with the foam. I've already got a piece cut here which should fit. And there's another riser there, so this piece needs to come out a little bit so that it's level with the rest of it. Now, I'm not even sure if this necessarily is steep or not steep enough to get the trains basically down to the rest of the layout. Because this I measured, but this smaller piece here I have not, so we're going to have to do a test with our switcher locomotive to see if it's even possible for locomotives to climb this. If it's not, then we'll just, I guess, extend the track out and hope it doesn't interfere with anything else. Over here, and just do a done before. What I'm doing right now is just making some area that a bit of potential scenery can go onto. Now we're just trying to get this bit finished. And just like that, we have part of that built. I've now cut another piece, go over here. switcher can climb this. Nothing too large is going to be going up this grade anyway, just the odd freighter or a locomotive. Okay, so it's now time to see if our little switcher can handle the grade. Well, apparently so. Okay, so that's a little more what I expected, but if we ease the grade even by a ½ inch, it should solve that. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Live streams seem to be a pretty popular idea, so that might be coming soon. Hopefully we can start getting more of this done, because it's pretty exciting seeing a track that's on genuine turf now. And one more thing, I think I might have finally solved the reversing loop dilemma.